Hey, 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 it's another hump day, which means you're hanging out with your favorite girlfriends and football. Whoop, whoop. We just completed week 13 and Beth is living it up with her Buffalo Bills on a bye. We'll talk to Cheri about her Bucs, skimming it out over the Carolina Panthers. And of course, y'all going to be just ready to hear my wrath coming in talking about
Oh
this
yeah,
unbelievable game against
such a good
Philadelphia.
game.
Yes, whoop whoop. So all the girls are here. Thank you for joining us today. If you're listening on the pod, anywhere you get your pods, please hit subscribe, like all the things. We love having you part of our chatter. So, where do we begin? First, Cheri, I don't know. I know we normally don't get into college, but
Yep.
I feel like despite my
This
team and all of that I'm going to be chatting about later, I really feel deeply about this situation going on the college front. So, walk us through for all of us who maybe don't follow college, walk us through because you kind of alluded to it last week. Selections were
yep.
coming, all the things. Those who don't know, Cheri's a big Florida State fan. She's an alum. She went to Florida State. That is her red and gold, or her maroon and gold is what she bleeds. So
Garnet
we'll
and
let her
gold.
chat. Garnet and gold. My bad. My
Garnet
bad.
and
See,
gold.
I am definitely not college. But yeah. So take it away, Cheri. Walk us through the heartbreak that is going on for
Yeah,
FSU
I
fans.
don't even man, I still am feeling it so much. It's actually kind of hard to talk about, to be honest.
Hmm.
So the situation is, Florida State, a football dynasty, obviously. Haven't been as great in previous years, and this is the season that has been much much hyped. The talent, the recruiting, or quarterback, it has been much hyped. We've lived up to the hype. We ended the season 13-0. The game before the ACC championship last weekend, we lost our, actually 2 games before that, we lost our star quarterback, Jordan Travis, to a broken leg, injured in a game. Then we had a backup quarterback. We still continued to win. Our backup quarterback then was under concussion protocol for the ACC championship game, which we played a third string true freshman who won the game against a number 14 ranked Louisville team for the ACC championship. So Florida State finished the season undefeated, 13-0, including beating LSU, off conference games that we actively try. The thing about college football is one of the factors is always strength of schedule. So if you have a conference that's predicted to do more poorly than others, you have to actively go for off conference big games. We did that. LSU crushed them. Okay. So on Saturday night, I'm having a watch party with my college roommate was here from Sarasota, and we were just chanting the whole, like we were looking at scenarios before. So after the championship games on Saturday, all the conference championships, there's a selection committee on Sunday that says these are the top 4 teams in college football, and therefore 2 of them will be going to play in the Sugar Bowl, and then 2 will be going to play in the Rose Bowl, with the Rose Bowl meaning most national championship likelihoods. There is then a selection of who's the national champion. That's a little bit of subjective process, but anyways, sorry for the long-winded explanation. But what ended up happening is we won. We were having this watch party, and we had been going through all the scenarios of, well, what if we lose? Because there was only one other undefeated team besides us, and everyone else that would be considered for these top 4 spots would have 1 loss. So we're like, well, is there any chance we can get in above another 1 loss team if we lose? All Saturday night, we were chanting, we win, we're in, we win, we're in, we're in, we win.
Oh,
So, yeah, with our third string quarterback, and we didn't win just by a point. I mean, we won. Yeah, was it our defense that did great? Absolutely. We did not have a great passing game. We won, so we're a 13-0 team that got snubbed from the college football playoffs in favor of 2 teams that were 12-1. They had a loss. One of those teams that got in was Alabama, who just won the SEC championship against Georgia. And that apparently was enough reason for them to catapult Alabama above Florida State, who, by the way, was just in a miracle game to get out from under Auburn, to squeak it, a terrible team. You look at the stats, it's honestly, it's like not even a comparison. So my heart has been broken. Florida State was excluded in favor of Alabama and Texas, one loss teams. Particularly hurts, the Alabama one, just considering strengths of schedule. I have my own personal theories about it, being an ACC girl, and the fact that the SEC has a $3 billion contract with ESPN, who wrote the narrative of why this championship was going to include an SEC team instead of an ACC team. So I call official bullshit, and I am not ever getting over this. That's the bottom line.
Golly. Listen, first of all, I feel for you. Obviously, we went to an NFC championship with no quarterback after about 6 snaps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel that. First of all, thank you for the explanation, because I mean, I was aware that Travis was out, right? We talked about that. I had no idea you then lost your second string and you guys played with your third string. I had
Yep.
no freaking clue. So hats off to FSU. And now I feel a little bit even more,
Yeah, because our second
brokenhearted
string
for you guys.
will be back in for the next game that
Right.
now nobody wants to play.
No.
Because they're like, what's the point? I mean, we're out of the national championship discussion. Now more of us are going on to our NFL draft. Why would we get in a hurt in a game that means absolutely nothing? It means absolutely nothing to go to this game. So a lot of our
Are you guys playing Georgia?
We're playing Georgia in the Orange Bowl.
So from what I just gathered, because I listened to ESPN here and there, and I heard, this may be the further heartbreak, was that allegedly they wanted to push for a 12 team selection this year, but like the ACC commish or whatever elected not to. He was one of the members, or she was one of the members, to not elect to have the 12 team selection this year. That will be
I had
next
not
year.
heard that. I hadn't.
Well, it's
heard
happening
that.
next year. Yeah,
it is happening next year, but
I didn't know that it was supposed to happen this year.
I think there was 3 people that voted to not have it this year. The ACC was one of them that voted to not have it this year. So had they voted,
right? Yeah, I don't know, but like it's like, so the whole reasoning was that they're now making future projections on games, right? So like, well, because your star quarterback is out, you can't possibly win a game without him. Therefore, Alabama is currently the strongest team. Ironically, ESPN had just called Georgia the strongest team in the nation for the last, I don't know, 16 weeks. But then they flipped it. Oh, Alabama's definitely the strongest. Like, it's such bullshit. It's honestly like, it's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for the kids that played their asses off in adversity, losing 2 quarterbacks for the ACC championship game. Like, we earned that right, being 13-0. Like, the right was earned. And I saw a meme that was pretty hysterical. I shared it on Facebook, but it was, well, I guess the NFL playoff committee now has to decide the Jaguars can't get into the playoffs because Trevor Lawrence is hurt. I mean, it's exact same situation. It's literally exactly the same. So that is, yeah, sorry. We did spend a lot of time on college football today.
We did. I couldn't not. I mean, you're an FSU alum.
It was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw that you posted, like, not only did they exclude them because of not having a quarterback to make it competitive, but then the Heisman nominations came out.
Yeah. And so this was my, I don't know if you guys know, I have a little bit of sass,
that's why we're friends.
So yeah, I posted up. So they announced the Heisman candidates, which again, Jordan Travis was in the conversation up until he got injured. So like and now he's not. So on one hand, he's such the most valuable player in the entire college football that a 13-0 undefeated team cannot survive a playoff berth without him, but he's not valuable enough to be considered for the Heisman. So it's just like, yeah, that's my bit of sass, and somebody explain that one to me.
Damn, that's tough. That's tough. Well, we'll switch it up here. Beth,
I will say, I do want to say something real quick though.
Yes.
So in, Florida, ACC versus SEC, and particularly in Florida teams, Florida versus Florida State, Florida being an SEC team, the SEC usually roots for SEC teams over ACC. That's the way it works, right? I have a lot of Florida friends and Alabama fans that are friends, and I did not hear a single word from one of them about like gloating or saying, we deserved it. Or every single person I talked to was like, y'all were robbed. Like,
Oh yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I will thank you to my friends for not gloating.
Yeah. It's interesting because Florida, I didn't, when I moved to Florida, everything was like, okay, who do you root for? Like, who's your team? Coming from I went to school in North Carolina where everything was basketball. Like,
Right.
and it was Duke, Carolina, like which color blue do you cheer for? And so I was like, I moved here and they were asking me about football, like college football. I'm like, like, let's talk March Madness. And they were like, so it was a long time ago. And so it's very, very much divided. Florida State and University of Florida. Those are the two schools. It's one or the other. And so it was somewhat like they came together. Like it was really kind of interesting how nothing else I've ever seen bring the two schools together. And
Agreed.
It was actually nice. So I that if there's a silver lining, I will say that's the silver lining. So,
yeah.
Beth, I'm going to scooch over to you for a sec. How did it feel to have a bye?
It was great. So stress-free. Didn't have to worry about anything. I just got to enjoy some football, like your game. Yeah, no, it was glorious, except for that whole Von Miller thing. And
no, what's the latest?
Yeah, do you have an update on that?
He's eligible to play, and they plan on playing him, which actually surprises me.
Has any more details come out about the incident? I don't know any more.
Nope, nothing at this point.
So I will say, for those of you who don't know, shortly after the Buffalo Bills played the Eagles, there were reports coming out that there was Von Miller's girlfriend there was some domestic situation, acts of domestic violence or whatever that had happened. Von Miller's wife or I think it's wife is pregnant. And so it was kind of this whole situation, and the NFL and Buffalo Bills were all trying to figure out what they were going to do. I did see a report somewhere later that she then came out publicly and said that nothing had happened, that it was just like over exaggerated. There was no acts of violence, and kind of retracted all of the things. So, I don't know that we'll know the truth right up
front. Who called the cops?
I think it was a witness. There was like some kind of
they heard fighting and they called, or a neighbor called.
Yeah.
I tend to side with the female in these situations. I don't think she necessarily would have a reason to cry wolf, but I don't know the inner workings of that house. So I just would hate, one, that Von Miller is being accused of something that maybe he didn't do, and two, hate that Von Miller would do any of it. So I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know. But we just definitely hope that it's not what we feared. So that's the deal with that. So yeah, I guess you didn't go without a completely news.
It was almost stress-free, almost free reign, but it was good to I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to stress. So
nice. Well, I will say my Niners rocked the shit out of the Eagles, and it feels so freaking good to say this publicly. I've been very politically correct. I literally, I had to drive Drew to a training that was like an hour away, and we're driving there. I get there. I even went for a run because I was like, I got to do something with this energy. Like, it's just way too much. On the drive home, I'm listening to like NFL, the ESPN, the pregame stuff, like listening to all the reports. And they're doing like obviously major coverage on this game, which usually doesn't happen for a 4:30 game. But, at 1 o'clock, they're usually just covering the 1 o'clock games. But so much stuff. They interviewed Fred Warner. There was an interview with Brock Purdy. And I was just like, when they promoted it and that music came on, I mean, I'm in the car just like, yeah, F the Eagles. I was kind of going really, really like, this is why I can't be seen in public with intense games. So Drew Bird was like, he was on board. I was like, wow, like, oh my gosh, like maybe I shouldn't be rubbing off on you. But we get to the game. Mom's over here. Like, we're just totally, I mean, it was game starts. I'm so hyped. I saw that there was like a tweet where they all showed up in black. And I later found out they didn't even know, like it was not coordinated. They just all showed up in all black. And I was like, oh, there's going to be a funeral today. Like, it was like I was so live, just in it, right? Then the kickoff happens and we lay an egg, like 3 and out. And Eagles drive the field, 3 points. Eagles drive the field, 3 points. And I'm like, feeling some kind of way. I'm like, okay, when are we I was getting kind of annoyed because we kept going to the right. All the plays seemed to go to the right. Well, Trent Williams, like future Hall of Famer left tackle, is on the left. And I'm like, but why are we going to the right? Trent is over here, like the massive man of our offensive line is the strength. But eventually they calmed everything down and they just freaking laid it on thick. And I'm going to say, Beth, thank you to your Buffalo Bills. I noticed watching when you guys played the Eagles the prior week that the way that you guys worked defensively to maintain Hurts in the pocket so he wouldn't escape and kill you on yardage, because that's his superpower. We kind of mimicked that. So we didn't really rush for the sacks. We really kind of just gave the pressure, closed the pocket, and then covered downfield. So our secondary stepped up, had great coverage, and we just really forced it on him. And that was it. Lights out. We even put in our second stringers, in the fourth quarter. We basically beat them in 2 quarters, and it just was freaking awesome.
And the fact that you didn't, because in weeks past, Eagles have found a way to change the children, change their direction at halftime, right? And they came back and they could still not figure out how to wrangle you guys in. So all the props in the world. That fight early on, man, kicking out security. I love it. I love all of it.
I wanted to ask you guys, did you watch it, Cheri? Did you see the game?
No, so we actually had tickets to a comedian, Josh.
Oh, that's right. You said that. That's right. You said that last week. Well, I'll come back to that.
It was supposed to be Thursday night, and he had a family emergency, so it was rescheduled to Sunday at 5 o'clock, right in the middle of my game and your game.
Yeah. Got it. So Beth, you watched it, and you saw this. Was it really a suplex? Because like, I'm an 80s girl. Suplex is like straight up on the head. Dre picked him up and like to the side.
To the side. So the problem is that you can't actually touch anybody. And he was on the field. So what was his name? Joe? Who's
Dom.
the
I think
Dom? Big Dom over there is not allowed on the field and is not allowed to touch anybody. He did both of those things.
Yeah. Cheri, did you see this? Did you see the replay of this?
I did not.
Oh my God.
Drake Greenlaw
is already like a household name for the Eagles, right?
He's getting like all the free Philly cheesesteaks for life.
Right. Yeah. He just because he's going to lose his job doesn't mean he's going to have to pay for anything ever again. Like,
right.
Because Philly doesn't find anything wrong with it.
No, I didn't see it.
So what happened was Dre Greenlaw came in on Devontae Smith, and he like, the way that Dre is just, he's a tackler, man. He can lift people. I mean, he clothesline people. I mean, he does a lot of WWE moves, like, but he's just a monster.
Kind of out of bounds. when he
Well,
made
no,
the
he was
decision.
totally inbounds. If you watch the replay, he was actually a yard in. He was not on. He wasn't even on the line. Like he was
Okay.
on the field. So he kind of picks the guy up and slams him. It was kind of a suplexy, like kind of upside down, going to the side. And
It was unnecessary. It really was unnecessary.
it was, I mean, but it wasn't illegal. There was nothing illegal. He was inbounds.
No.
It happened. It was kind of like one of those moves where you're like, bro, like you know, like, but that's Dre. Dre toes the line. Like that's just who he is. So this Dom guy is like literally in on the white markings of the like field where only coaches and players and stuff are supposed to be. Like nobody else is supposed to be in the zone. Homeboy's right there on the line, gets in, like Dre like comes up and was like, because Devontae Smith was like, bro, like, you know, there's a scuffle. And this guy is like right there and he puts his hands on Dre's chest. Well, you are not a coach, you are not a player, and you are not supposed to put your hands on any player. You're not supposed to be in that part of the field or, you know, on the sideline. You're not supposed to be there. And so he's already breaking that rule. Well, Dre's like, bro, you're not supposed to touch me. Like, who are you? Like, you're not a coach. You're not anybody. So he's like, I'm the wrong one. So he puts his hand in his face and does like a boop on his nose, but Dre can't touch him. So Dre gets ejected from the game.
Wow.
Ejected.
Wow.
So this affects the field and the players in the game. Who cares if this guy gets ejected? He wasn't even supposed to be there in the first
And he's
place.
not
Who is
playing.
that
It's not like
guy?
he's on the field.
He's like the team security guard or something. Like
Oh
the
my
funniest thing
God.
I saw later was, you know, Bart, the mall cop or whatever, like a picture of him. It was like that's literally what it was.
Oh, Bart Mall Cop.
Yep.
So it was like the best ejection ever. I'll take that, you know, especially knowing what the outcome was. If it was a closer game, I'd probably be upset. But you know, that could have it could have deterred the whole game though, because Philly was kind of losing gas. There was like quiet in the stadium, and then this happens, and now all the Philly fans are like, "Yeah, Dom!" Like you know, all the energy is
gosh.
revitalized, and so it could have been a turning point. But luckily, you know, it was all good. So that was my game. We played the Seahawks again. So we played the Seahawks prior to Philly. We played the Seahawks again. And then ladies, we got to play. And look at me. I'm going to put on pads and get out there.
Put your
We gotta
pads on, dude.
Listen, I surely would. I'd probably die out there, but I would die a happy woman. So Christmas Day, we got to play the Ravens.
Wow.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, my husband is a Ravens fan. Our
Wow.
marriage barely made it through that Super Bowl.
That's going to be a tough Christmas.
But a great game. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Are you going to be spending Christmas with me?
I was asked earlier. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, can you guys watch that? I'm like, no, we can't. I can't watch this. I'm like, he could probably watch it with me. He can probably tolerate me better, but I cannot. I can't, especially if the Ravens. I'm not built that way.
Nope,
So
not with you.
no. So the other game I wanted to chat about. Remember, I spoke about the Texans versus the Broncos and the implications that have for the playoffs. And that was actually pretty close until the end. And Beth just dipped out. I don't know what happened to her. She'll probably log back on here in a second. So let me just put this 2-person. Boom. Look at me being efficient here.
Quick, man. Good job.
Because I'm learning. So yeah, that game was fantastic. CJ Stroud is just incredible. Rookie quarterback, rookie head coach. I mean, just fantastic what he's doing over there. I was actually, and it was tough because, you know, I love rooting for my rookies out there. I love rooting for D'Amico Ryans. But I kind of wanted something for Russ. They were in this 5-game
Yeah.
win streak. It was really Sean Payton. I mean, they've figured it out. They've turned it around, so it's not horrible. But no, I love all that for sure. Dang, I don't even have my phone with me to see if Beth is going to hop back on, but
She
hopefully
did.
she will.
She just messaged me and said her computer died and go Bills.
Well, there we have it. So in talking about the reason why I wanted to bring up CJ Stroud is they talk about the MVP. They're talking about who's going to be league MVP.
Yep.
Right now, after the Eagles game, Brock Purdy has now slid up to number 1 in the discussion, which is where he should be, in my mind. I think he definitely earned it.
Well, you guys had a lot to prove after those 3 losses in a row, right? Like he dropped out of the conversation a lot, so you had quite a patch there. So he's back up.
Yeah, and my rebuttal to that is he also was concussed. So
right.
I mean, there's that. Uh-oh. I'm losing everybody here. So I mean, I definitely, and then we've got Christian McCaffrey. So there's a lot of people saying Christian McCaffrey, he deserves to be in the conversation. Tyreek Hill, what he's doing, deserves to be in the conversation.
Well, the thing is it's like your team, like you guys have a pretty whole team on your side. I think CJ Stroud is really kind of more of a standout performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. That's absolutely valid. The interesting thing is the second place person per Vegas odds is Dak Prescott, and I'm somewhat surprised by that, somewhat not surprised by that. What are your thoughts?
What are they? 8 and
they're 9-3. Aren't they 9-3?
Either 9-3 or 8-4, but so they're over 500. Well, that surprises me. It does. I haven't been paying a ton of attention to Dak Prescott individually, so maybe I'm missing something, but I don't feel like there's a lot of fireworks around Dak Prescott this year. I don't know. That's my opinion. I'm not seeing what they're seeing.
Yeah, my thing with they're 9-3. Yeah, I confirm that. My thing with them is it's hard to compare because Dallas's schedule is just not strong. I mean, they just don't play. They just their strength of schedule is not really great. I mean, they play the Patriots, they've played the Jets, they've played the Giants, they play it's just not awesome teams. So I mean, it's nothing's easy in the NFL, so don't get this twisted. But it's hard to come out and say that you can compare two people where one has just a schedule that's not great. They're going to put up those stats versus someone who's playing more difficult teams, less rest, all these things. It's hard to compare the two. I mean, I'm always going to look through jaded eyes. I mean, 49ers is my team. I'm always going to be like, yeah, Brock Purdy deserves it. But he's also Mr. Irrelevant. He's also the one who no one believes, has the raw ability to be even a starting NFL quarterback. And here he is. Like, I mean, we saw what this offense looked like under Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Who, and so there's a stark difference. And I think he just brings, he just brings such attention to the leadership role too. I mean, there's just a lot that he does. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, I definitely think he showed his stuff. I mean, I just think about what it must have felt like to go back into the link, the spot where you injured yourself, that ended your season, that then had to have this surgery that was all questionable. Will you even come back next season? How will it look? Are you going to be, able to perform? Like all these questions. And he came out and he's proven himself over and over. So I think the kid deserves it. definitely, I mean, we get to play, Dallas potentially in the playoffs, and I think that's going to be just another layer of, hey.
We'll see what happens.
Exactly.
See what happens. I mean,
Exactly.
strangely enough, my Bucs are not out of the AFC South.
That is
We're
insane.
we're one game behind, and we play Atlanta this weekend.
Wow. Well, before we switch over, because I do want to talk about that, I want to switch out to let me see if I can bring this up. There's a guy who actually brought up why Brock Purdy should be the runner for the MVP conversation, and it's actually everything I'd ever want to say. So I'm going to see if we can bring this in here. Let me see if I can. All right. I'm going to take you guys to my Twitter page.
Just because
Can you hear
Vegas
this?
does not mean.
Okay, great. Here we go. So let me start it from the beginning.
I've been trying to say it this year, and even when Brock had his 3 games struggling, can we please, and I think people are starting to come on this train with me, can we please put Brock Purdy as the front runner for the MVP right now?
Well, Vegas already did. So
just because Vegas is doing it does not mean that everyone in the comments, everywhere, everyone that's watching this right now, whatever, I don't think a lot of people agree with that. Be like, oh, the weapons. I came prepared to
tell me why Brock Purdy should be MVP.
I never do this.
Get in the fucking lab.
Brock Purdy leads the NFL in QBR, passer rating, yards per completion, touchdown percentage, completion percentage, air yards per attempt. Let's get into that stat for a sec.
Let's
all right.
Get into it.
Brock Purdy's 9.59 yards per attempt through 12 games is the most in NFL history. The other 4 guys that have the highest, like the 4 guys right after him, 2011 Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. 2004 Peyton Manning won the MVP. 1988 Boomer Esiason won the MVP. 1984, Dan Marino won the MVP. Just saying, that's quite interesting. Brock Purdy is on pace to throw for 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Only 8 players have ever done that in NFL history. 3 won MVP, 3 are Tom Brady, 1 is Aaron Rodgers, 1 is Patrick Mahomes.
Damn!
The top 8 passer rating games this season. Brock Purdy is one of only 2 people to have a perfect passer rating this year, 158.3. The rest of them, Brock Purdy has 4 of the top 8 passer rating games this season alone. No one else has 2. And I don't want to hear about all that bullshit, yards after catch bullshit. Don't fucking give me that. I know great weapons. So does every other great fucking quarterback in the league. The Niners are 11th in team yards after catch in the league this year. The Chiefs are first. We never give Patrick Mahomes shit about yards
after a catch accounts for 48.5% of Brock Purdy's passing yards this season. The average NFL starting quarterback has 47% of their yards come from yak. The average for an NFL MVP over the last 10 years was 48%.
So what's Brock at again?
48.5.
48. Oh, interesting.
But here's where it gets crazy. We freaked out about Patrick Mahomes, right? Last year, when Patrick Mahomes had his insane MVP season, you know what his yak number?
Oh, what was his yak number?
What was it?
54%.
Woo!
I'll bet you it was even higher when he had fucking Tyreek.
So we were
Hill
talking
on
about
board,
him
too.
not having weapons, but clearly his weapons were making shit happen.
Patrick Mahomes, and granted, he's amazing, but using the yak argument against Brock Purdy is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let's just peel back the curtain on the argument of someone saying, oh, well, he has these weapons. Because I got very triggered as a Tua fan when people say about Tyreek. Yep. So you're telling me that the quarterback's job is to throw to his weapons, and those weapons are supposed to do something crazy.
When they get the ball.
When
and
they get the
perform.
ball. So if they don't do that, naturally the team sucks. But if they do that,
then the quarterback's not that good. It's because he's beneficiary of.
I think it's just a ridiculous.
Sense.
It's a ridiculous argument to say that. Oh, the yak, bro. Yak is part of the game. All right, that stat proves it. So give Brock Purdy some flowers.
It's ridiculous though. Like if Brock Purdy was drafted in the first 3 rounds.
Yep, I agree
last
with that.
year.
I agree with that.
People are talking about him as a top 5 quarterback, at least top 10 quarterback in the league.
If he keeps this up and he goes and wins MVP, there's no doubt about it that Brock Purdy is a top 5 quarterback. I don't know how you don't put him if he wins the MVP. He'd be the first ever MVP to not be in the top 5 quarterbacks. It's insane.
So, thoughts and feelings on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid argument. It's not different from a lot of shit I've been arguing, right? With the Florida State bullshit. The things they're looking into to determine what a strength of something is. Totally agree. Yards after catch is not Brock Purdy's issue. That's not it. So yeah, I mean, obviously everything I've been talking about is more on a feelings side, but when you put the statistics out there, I mean, it's a hard thing to argue against.
Yep, 100%. So, whoops, hang on. Let me. Sorry about that. All right, so we're back. Let's go ahead and chat Bucs. So walk me through the game, Carolina.
Actually, I do not have a lot to give you on the game because I didn't watch it. I'm not gonna lie, the Florida State thing. So college football is normally played on Saturdays. By Sunday, we're on to NFL. This week was very different for me. The selection show came out Sunday at noon. I was crushed. I honestly didn't want to watch any football, and I didn't. I was protesting, even though the NFL has nothing to do with it. But then having again the alternate plans to go with. So what I'm looking forward to, and I shouldn't even say looking forward to because it's not like I have a lot to get excited about with the Bucs, but could a miracle happen? We're only one game behind Atlanta in the AFC South. We're playing Atlanta this weekend. There's this weekend next to go. So, I mean, who knows? Like somebody's got to be the best of the worst conference, right?
Right. 100%.
Or
And
worst
hey,
division. I mean, division.
yeah, I mean you're only one game out and you guys are playing in Atlanta, yes?
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
Oh, I'm just gonna keep my predictions to myself from now on. I don't feel like it really works out for me.
I get it though. Like I'm superstitious too, so sometimes I didn't want to say that the what I predicted the game score for the game against the Eagles, but then I finally was just like, I'm going to put it out there. I'm confident. And then I switched up because I had it like 34-27 or something. And then when I like maybe the next day later, I retweeted it and was like, I feel like I disrespected our defense. And so I put I put that we still had 34, but that they maybe had 21 or something like that. And I guess I still disrespected them because I didn't even get that. But anywho, so as we look ahead to the games coming up tomorrow, we've got New England at Pittsburgh. I'm not going to probably watch that game. And then December 10th on Sunday, we have, as we said, Tampa at Atlanta, Detroit at Chicago, Indianapolis at Cincinnati, Jacksonville at Cleveland, Carolina at New Orleans. Y'all, I'm trying to find a game I might be interested in other than my own. Houston versus the Jets. Maybe LA at Baltimore could be interesting. Of the ones that I've said so far, I don't know. Stop me if you think any of these are
No, but I will tell you what I'm going to need, as we're about to wrap up here. What I'm going to need is I started undefeated in our fantasy football league, and I have pretty much tanked since. And my team tanked so bad last week that Beth did not even have a kicker in her lineup, and I got crushed. So I'm just like, come on, just keep me in the playoffs in our fantasy football league, guys. Like I just want to stay in.
Listen, I might get eliminated. I lost again, another close game, but I didn't realize Tank Dell got injured.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And then I finally get rid of
he got injured bad too at the
yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
So so he was out, and then I didn't I still have my quarterback issue. So it's not like I did end up leaving Goff in. I mean, I think I got 18. I don't even know, somewhere around there. I mean, Kyler Murray wouldn't have been much better. And then I didn't look at Stafford if he did anything better. So it was just kind of meh. And of course, I played someone who had Dak Prescott, who got 28 points. So I'm kind of learning though, Cheri. I'm learning like sometimes I need to step away from my loyalty and go after a different situation. So
I know. I hear you, but I hear you on the superstition too.
Yes. So back to the schedule here, LA at Baltimore. We've got Minnesota at Las Vegas, maybe. I mean, neither one of them have a great starting quarterback, maybe. And then we've got Seattle at San Francisco. So this one will be at home. Buffalo plays Kansas City. Oh my gosh, where is Beth? Man, her computer died for those who didn't know. And I would love to get her thoughts on this game. How did we not talk about this? It's in Arrowhead.
Seriously, how did we not?
Yes, so that's the same time as my 49er game, so I will not be watching that. So I'll definitely need to get the 411 from her next week. Denver at LA Rams, and then we got Philadelphia playing Dallas, which I will be watching this game. If Dallas takes an L, if Philadelphia takes an L, the 49ers move into number 1 in the NFC. So I'm not going to say I'm going to be a Dallas fan. I'm just going to say I want Philadelphia to lose.
But see, those two is like, I don't know who I want to lose more out of those two. That's always
Oh, girl, we want Philly to lose. Yeah, we want Philly to lose. I really want that number 1 NFC. I want that spot. I want that spot.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, that will wrap up our pod for this week. Exciting things are coming. Playoffs are on the horizon, both for our fantasy league, which I'm sorry if you get bored hearing about that, but we are close. Cheri and I, will we get kicked out of our playoff picture? We'll keep you posted next week, and we'll be back for more. So take care and happy football.
Good night.